All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And you guys are actually lucky you're getting an update today because Indiana Jones and the Great Circle did get released on Xbox and PC as of today. And I wasn't even going to look at this game until the reviews came out. And I don't even have an Xbox, so I figured I'd just wait for the PlayStation 5 version to come out. I thought about getting it on Steam, but I figured I want a physical copy, and so I'd get it for the PlayStation 5. Well, I wasn't going to drop $70 on Steam, and I have to give a shout-out to A. Curly Ray for reaching out to me and letting me know you can get Game Pass with Xbox if you have a PC. It's only like $11.99 a month, and you get access to all these games, including a lot of these first-party games by Bethesda, who did the Indiana Jones game. And so I'm going to be playing that as soon as I get done with my update. I'm excited. I got 14 days for $1, and then if I don't want to continue paying for it, I can just cancel it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. Hopefully we'll be done with it over those 2 weeks, but I am uber excited. The reviews for it seem to be pretty dang good. So that's where I will be as soon as I get done. All right, now, there's been a lot of stuff going on with DC and a lot of interesting stuff online, and I'm going to show you guys some pretty interesting stills today, grabs that I've picked up to show you. And Creature Commandos is not doing as well as DC would like. And I'm going to show you an interesting picture on, what's streaming better than Creature Commandos on the Max app itself. I keep telling everybody, it is not the juggernaut that DC was hoping for. Why they're starting with Creature Commandos is still mind-boggling. On top of that, you have additional shooting going on for Superman, which James Gunn said he doesn't do. Now, I'm not talking reshoots, but he said that additional shots for his movies, he was quoted as saying, over the last 5 films combined, he's only had a day and a half of additional shooting. Yet he's got to have a couple of days for Superman already. And this comes off of the heels. Well, we'll talk about it as we get to it. We just have a lot of stuff to cover, so let's get started. So first up, this last week there was a campaign on the 5th to hashtag release the Ayer cut. And David Ayer's wife actually got involved. And she said, blown away by the support from my husband, David Ayer Movies, release the Ayer cut. She wants it to be released. He wants it to be released. He even came out and talked about it. And there was a truck that landed, you can see here with the graphics with Jared Leto on there, and you got Harley Quinn on the back. There was a lot of moving stuff. This is obviously a still that I took. It's a 15-minute video. They parked this in front of the Warner Brothers lot, which was pretty dang funny. And I will tell you that the release the Ayer cut on the day that Creature Commandos got released, had about double the engagement on social media that Creature Commandos did. It just goes to show you that Creature Commandos is not what they expect it to be. It doesn't matter what the reviews are, and we'll talk a bit about that as we go through some of these grabs. James Gunn says that DC Studio aims to give a platform to lesser-known characters like the Huntress in the DCEU. Again, they're making projects for niche people, not the mainstream. And if they start doing stuff like this without establishing your big heroes first, is going to be a huge miss, and they're just going to have flop after flop after flop after flop. Now, this is very interesting. You remember when Zack Snyder got blasted for sexualizing Themyscirans? Well, here you go. First appearance of the Amazons on Themyscira in the DCU. Themyscira is described as perhaps mythical, perhaps real, hinting this might only be an artist's imagining of the Amazons. Sure. They're trying to make excuses because this comes from Creature Commandos. And if you look at the way they're drawn, yeah, you're trying to tell me they're not trying to sexualize the Amazons? Sure. Where's all the outrage, guys? Where's all the outrage like there was for Zack Snyder? Come on, where is it? All the hypocrites out there. Here we go. Via the Hollywood Reporter. Superman will undergo a few extra days of reshoots and pickups in LA, which is expected given its production size. But yet James Gunn was boasting himself, talking about how he doesn't need this because it's so well planned out. They had the whole entire writer's strike. Everything was planned out, and he's so well planned out that they don't have to do stuff like that. Yet, you got a couple of days of pickups coming up. There you go, guys. You cannot believe anything James Gunn says. You cannot. And in fact, he had talked about, I forgot to mention this with the David Ayer thing, but there's a quote of him saying, whatever David Ayer wants is what I support. This is prior to him taking over, and now he won't even address the Release the Ayer Cut people at all. All over social media, he will not even respond to it because he only cares about his stuff. And I'll even prove that here in a few minutes with a few more things. Filmmaker David Ayer is making it clear that he wants his own cut of Suicide Squad to eventually see the light of day. Of course he does, and this also comes from The Hollywood Reporter. He has never not wanted this. He gave up the battle for a little while, but he is now making more waves on social media, wanting his version to be released. I talked about this in my last video, that it was never meant to be a comedy. It was supposed to be serious and more of a drama, and they completely changed it. Now, these are my feelings exactly. This comes from Josh from the Den of Nerds. He said, and this is in regards to the reshoots that have to happen, and this is what James Gunn said. James Gunn avoids reshoots by not filming until I have a finished script. And more, I've done 1 day of reshoots on my past 2 films combined. This goes back to what I said before. Those are direct quotes from James Gunn himself. And this is what Josh had to say. He said, so here's my take. If you believe Gunn, which is hard because he literally lies all the time, which he does, then this aren't really reshoots in the way that Marvel does them. However, if you look at the fact that the screenings isn't really being talked about, the fact that CCXP was canceled by him, and the fact that the trailer is being recut and delayed, well, it seems this could be bad. Wish Gunn didn't contradict himself so much on social media, because I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Either way, I still think Superman will be very good. However, I am also worried that it might be too much like Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman. That's exactly what I think is happening. I think if you look at all of the stuff that's happening out there, there's no hype behind this movie. There's not. There's a small group of people trying to make waves on there, these people that will defend Gunn to no end, but they totally look past all of his shortcomings. They don't even address them. And if you mention anything, they'll instantly call you a Snyder cultist. And the CCXP came and went, and there was nothing announced by DC. Nothing big that happened. A little bit of the merchandise for Superman was revealed, but that's it. This movie comes out here in about 7 months, and it's silent. It's dead silent out there, guys. No trailer incoming, nothing. This is a rumor that casting has reportedly begun for the Batman Part 2, and Matt Reeves is about to send out an offer for a very substantial role, which is most likely the main villain. The offer is apparently to a pretty big actor, and filming could possibly begin in February of 2025. I don't see how they could do it that fast when there's no script. I don't know if there's any truth to this. This is just a rumor that was being reported, and the fact that there's no script is very telling. This is more in regards to the Ayer cut. It's real. It's done. No more editing needed. No reshoots needed. No additional music needed. They just need to release it. This isn't like the situation that we had with Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is a movie that is finished, and the cut was all put together, just needs a few minor things done, and it would be ready for release. Here's James Gunn talking about the additional days of shooting. He goes, sort of, not a few days, we're doing a day and a half of pickup shots. No scenes, no reshoots, just a handful of individual shots to enhance the film. Well, if he was all planned out, he wouldn't have to do that, right? Right? Right. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's coming off of his own words. James Gunn he had to come out and say this because of what's happening contradicts what he said in regards to his last 2 films. So he had to come out and say something. Now, I kind of trolled James Gunn on this one. He said, assemble your very own Task Force M for home or office. New Creature Commandos figures available on Amazon. So if you want to go get them, there's a bunch of those little tiny, I forget what they're called, figures available if you want to bobble. They're not bobbleheads. It's whatever those popular toys are. There's some of those on Amazon. I don't expect them to sell out, though, because nothing for Suicide Squad sold out. They had to go on clearance, and nothing from Peacemaker sold out. All those things have gone on clearance because nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, I thought this was very rich coming from James Gunn. James Gunn says casting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom was a smart move. And I also love Robert, so I think that's cool. I think it's a great idea. I think there's nobody better than him. Coming from the guy who took over DC and fired all of the popular DC actors and only keep the lesser cared about actors. That's coming from the guy who did that. Make that make sense. So here you go, guys. Here is when they talk about hype for Creature Commandos. And this actually comes from December 8th. All right, so this is December 8th, just a few days after it's premiered. And it says, zero hype for Creature Commandos. All these fake DC YouTubers and Gunn toxic fans telling everyone that it's the best since sliced bread suddenly went into radio silence. This is rookie numbers. James Gunn is way in over his head. Rotten Tomatoes can't save Gunn. And it's a fact. If you look at this chart, Creature Commandos is number 7 on that list. You have Dune Prophecy, more than double the numbers. Harry Potter, Wizards of Baking is doing better than Creature Commandos. The Sex Lives of College Girls, like Water for Chocolate, Superman and Lois, which is over. More people are watching that show on Max than they are Creature Commandos. And then Dragon Ball Daima? I don't know how you say that. I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, so I couldn't tell you. And then something called From down at the bottom. Creature Commandos is going to be a one-done. It's not going to be a long-term popular thing. There is no hype behind this, guys. There is no hype for Creature Commandos. Now, I want to talk about this photo because this hit me with the feels, and this was actually a GIF that was actually showing, all of the bullets flying at her. But Aaron S. Bailey, this guy's amazing, said, God Almighty, the early DCEU had sauce. And he had the Wonder Woman thing. And I said, we are never going to see anything like this ever again. And I want to talk about my feelings specifically about this particular scene in the DCEU. This was, out of all of everything that happened in the DCEU, this was my all-time favorite scene. And when I was a kid and I would watch Superman, I believed that Christopher Reeve was Superman. A big, huge part of my childhood, Christopher Reeve was, and those first 3 films especially the first 2. Like, I loved the first 2. And when Wonder Woman came out, this was still during the rocky part of the DCU where Warner Brothers was already meddling with stuff. And this was the No Man's Land scene. And you found out from Patty Jenkins that the studio tried to get her to cut this out of the film and not even include it, which would be asinine. I got to see Wonder Woman more than a month before it got released. And I remember going with my wife, and we were sitting there, and I was very worried before the movie started because of the different tone of the way things were going and how the studio had butchered Batman versus Superman. And, we really enjoyed the Suicide Squad, but I'm eager to see the real version. But then this came out, and I was very worried and sitting in the theater. And then the movie started. This particular scene alone gave me chills. It made me feel like a kid again. It was a selfless act that she did. Nobody was willing to help. And that's when she first dons herself as Wonder Woman and goes out there. And I just get chills thinking about this scene in general. And she went out to be that hero, the hero that they needed. This was Wonder Woman. I have not felt anything like that. Like this scene invoked in me, like it did when I was a kid seeing Christopher Reeve as Superman. This particular scene is my most favorite scene out of the DCEU. And I'm always going to love this scene. It almost brings me to tears every time I see it. Like I said, it is about sacrifice. It is about a selfless act. And she went out there to show people what they could do. And my gosh, we are never going to see anything like this ever again. Ever again. With the current regime at Warner Brothers. It's not going to happen, guys. Here's the full graphic for that picture that I showed you. It says top TV shows on HBO on December 8th, 2024. I'd like to see the other days as well, because I bet you people just watch it at the beginning to review it, and then nobody cares about Creature Commandos. They just don't. Now, this is pretty cool. and somebody mentioned, that James Gunn will never see anything like this. The Penguin received 3 nominations at the Golden Globes: Best Limited Series, Best Actor in a Limited Series by Colin Farrell, and Best Actress in a Limited Series, Kristen Milotti. I think she is going to win an Emmy, to be honest with you. Both of their performances were great in this show. Probably one of the best shows I've seen this year. And again, the fact that there's no news on the Batman 2 is very disheartening. All right, guys, so I had to get this video up. What do you think about that scene from Wonder Woman? What are your feelings behind it? In fact, what I would love to hear is, what is everybody's favorite DCEU moment? Post it below in the comments. I would love to hear. I will tell you that I've always been chasing that nostalgia from being a kid, and I had not had that feeling of seeing somebody on screen that was that hero, like they embodied that hero the way that Gal Gadot did during that scene. Like that really blew me away. That movie was, the first one, was something pretty special. And wow, to know that has been ripped from us, and we're looking, I mean, if you look at everything for Creature Commandos, it has necrophilia in it, sex, disgusting fart jokes, there's everything about the show is everything that goes against what DC should be represented as and should be. And this just goes in line with the other stuff that James Gunn has done. If you look at Peacemaker, and if you look at the Suicide Squad, to me, the Suicide Squad is the second worst film in the whole DCU, just barely above Birds of Prey, which I thought was just utter garbage. I mean, the whole plot of that movie is, this girl swallows the key, and once she poops it out, whoever gets the key is going to rule Gotham. Like, come on. That's really the whole plot of the film. It was just, I cannot stand Birds of Prey. And the Suicide Squad is just barely better than that. Very disappointing that James Gunn is the guy that's in charge of all of this. I'm very worried for Superman. I'm very worried how that movie's going to be portrayed. And the fact that they're holding it all in and they're not releasing anything for the film is not a good sign right now. No matter who you are, you cannot deny that things are not looking all that rosy. And people are like, just be patient, just wait. That's what they said about Creature Commandos. And look, it's out now, and it's hot garbage too. Guys, this isn't what I want from DC, and it's not what the general audience is going to want from DC. I can tell you that. All right, guys, so there's my update for the day. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up. We will see you guys on the next update.